Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Jesi.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And Charlie, welcome back from Fraggle Rock.
Were you there with Tori?
I don't think so. I got... Wait, were you there? Because I got kicked out because I was with the drums.
I think Charlie was... I think that Charlie was making a Doozer uncomfortable.
No, it was probably a drum set.
Maybe. Already then.
Get off my drum set! I can't!
As you can see, we have bells.
I'm wearing mine.
Little bells. And this
I have a cowbell at home
This is the newest of our strategies to help Charlie not go off on too many tangents. And this is how it goes.
I think I know where this is headed.
Why does Charlie get a bell then?
Be bad.
No!
No, there are certain people who don't get props, you and me.
Anytime somebody feels that Charlie has gone off on a tangent, they have the opportunity to ring a bell. If someone rings the bell, the person from behind the camera is going to pull out a bowl of salad. And Charlie will have to eat one bite. Charlie, you have the choice. You can either feed yourself or have the person behind the camera fork feed you. And
Charlie's not going to say a word the whole episode.
If you get carried away and ring the bell, then it still counts as somebody ringing the bell.
Should have brought my handcuffs and handcuffed myself. No one heard that.
Okay, with that being said,
yep,
we're going to be going over the Forsaken Merman.
We're going over. This is going to be a great episode.
I'm not saying a word. I'm going to be like a monk who takes a vow of silence.
If we feel that you're not contributing enough...
Balls! Christmas balls on a tray! Damn it!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You rang the bell.
I thought it...
It's salad time.
Mind you, I'd rather be doing...
Charlie's Healthy Corner.
I'd rather be doing methamphetamine behind the dumpster right now. All right. I'll be a good sport.
There you go.
Oh, he took 3 leaves. I'm very proud of him.
Oh, how crunchy.
Is it a good salad?
No, it does. Honestly, it does.
I told you it wasn't that bad.
But
I mean, it's terrible.
I was nice enough to dress it for him.
Thank you. It's just lovely.
Okay.
Beautiful.
On today. We're going over the Forsaken Merman by Matthew Arnold. We went over Dover Beach back in season 2, and that was a really meaning. It was a discussion that had a lot of meaning, substance, and food for thought.
I like food.
Jesi suggested the Forsaken Merman, and has a discussion starter.
Yes, to give you guys a little insight, I actually found this poem in my little masterpieces of poetry.
That's a cool book.
Yeah, it's adorable, isn't it?
It is really nice.
If you guys go way back to like a year ago from my second trip to the book garden, I did a book haul video, which showed this book along with the other ones that it came with. So just to give you guys a little idea of where it came from, so check out the book garden. I found it in here. I liked the title because I like mermaids. So I read it through and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very sad poem. So I recommended it to Josh. So, but I felt that it had some very interesting elements in it, being that, mermen and mermaids are mythical creatures, kind of pagan in a sort of way.
I did not know. I'm sorry. I thought I did not know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole backstory,
Okay.
but I know, like, being mythical and whatnot.
All right.
And so I found it very interesting that, the merman marries and has children with a human woman, and she is drawn away from her husband, the merman, by a little gray church. So my question to you is that, do you think it's a coincidence that Arnold chose the little gray church to pull Margaret away from the merman? And if he chose it on purpose, what do you think it means?
First of all, I think it's just very I think that there was a bit of a gender reversal in this poem, and I thought it was interesting because you hear more about mermaids than mermen
Yes.
in literature.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that she's the one that is being, that she's the one that walks away from him and the family, because she's also, it's the merman and the little mermaid, or their mermaid, their little mer children.
Mer children, yes.
But I think that was a detail that really caught my attention. But whether or not she is there because it's a duty of hers that she is a duty of hers that she feels is something that she wants to follow through, or if she's being forced into it, because we don't get her, we get it's completely his story and his side.
Yeah.
And it's also based on after she left. Like, we don't
Yes.
know how long it was that she left prior. It's just he gathers his children and says, "Come on, children, let's go find mommy." She said she was going to the Little Gray Church. Let's go to Little Gray Church. Come on, mommy. Come on back. Come on back. And she ignores them.
And that concept of time is completely different too.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
with their mother being gone, there could be a religious annotation to it too, because it talks about the priest and what
That's
he's
what
speaking,
I got from it.
I was gonna say
what he's saying. And you could also think that the woman was seeing the merman on an affair, or it was a forbidden relationship per se.
Yeah.
Because she goes back to her kinsfolk.
And I was going to say, to add to that, as you were saying, the Little Gray Church. Churches back then were very, well, most of them were really, really, really big, because they were, and this was during the pagan time, right? Because
I was going to say, I'm not sure when the story was actually written.
Because
You might
Matthew
have
Arnold
more
wrote
of that.
during the 19th century.
okay,
Yeah.
so
But I don't know if it's current or...
because I was going to say this was way back, like medieval times, which it's clearly not, but paganism was in full force, and the church imposed its teachings on those who were willing to accept it. And actually, believe it or not, a lot of people did accept that, but they did hold on to the paganism slightly. Then they would let that go, and then they would say, "Hey, let me just follow these. Let me follow. Be Christ-like." As I'm sitting here holding this bell and screaming balls at. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's what I was gonna say. And if it's a Little Gray Church, that's just like a small rundown. I mean, that's how I say it, a small rundown church that needs a few good men and women to go to and maintain, and that just gives me that dark imagery. And if it's, do they say it's by a cemetery?
No, it just says
But
Little Gray Church.
Usually a church which is near a
To the
cemetery.
Little Gray
Yeah.
Church on the Windy Hill.
On the Windy Hill. So, there you go.
Oh, wait, no, it was by a cemetery.
They-
We'd climb on graves on stones worn
Yeah.
with rain.
Now, so-
And her concentration's on the whole book, and the priest is preaching.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's where the tension is coming from here in this poem, right? Is between the religious and then the, I guess, irreligious, for lack of a better word.
That's a sacred,
For
secular?
whatever, I wouldn't say secular necessarily, but
Alright.
but whatever of the world, let's say, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, alright.
let's say worldly, let's say,
Yeah.
and it's written from the perspective of somebody who either can't or won't
Follow the ways of church.
her,
Oh, yeah, okay.
right?
I got
Like, which were, it's not made
Yeah.
super clear. At least it wasn't to me.
A
mean-
mer person
Because it
can't
can't
really
really-
survive on land.
I was
That's
gonna
right.
say, it's a little hard
Yeah,
to go to a...
gonna say my personal interpretation was that she was more of like, I guess, an affair sort
I
of.
love this book. I'm sorry. I love
It's
this book.
cute. I do too. I love
I
it.
love it.
No, I saw it as more of an affair because when and I mean to me, it seems like the merman is truly in love with Margaret because, you know, when he talks about her being around, they're playing in the sea and there's lots of colors and it's very beautiful and very vibrant and they're in love and they have these children. Then she gets called away by hearing, you know, the bells for Easter. And so she goes and takes care of her duties and then just doesn't come back. So he goes to look for her and he describes this kind of dreary, drab little gray church with the graves and all the noises and how terrible it is and why doesn't she want to come? Children call out to her and she's just, you know, sticking to her duties. And so that's why it does kind of remind me, like you said, of an affair a little bit because generally speaking, affairs tend to be something thrilling and fun and colorful and naughty and things like that, and then you go back to your responsibilities and compared to all that fun and you know, excitement that you had before, everything just seems a little drab. And it just, I mean, I get from the merman who has his children with this woman, you know, he's in love with her and he wants her to come back and he calls out for her and just basically says that he's going to be alone in the sea from now on because she went back to her duties.
And it's interesting how it's the male part, the male half that is tied to the responsibilities of that nature.
I didn't
in many cases
it was said it.
In many cases it was the woman who was tied down, and the male is not just, he's physically tied down because he's a merman, he can't leave.
Yeah, he's not going to do 45-minute mass and then go, I got to go to church and then I can come back here, you know, so give me a water tank. That was a joke. It's a joke. I can make jokes, but...
You also get the sense that they don't know how to conduct themselves in our world, right? With the way they're climbing over tombstones
and
sitting on them, like you know, that's not something that you do in society.
Right. I mean, if we're talking real little kids, they probably don't know better. But over the age of 5, you know, even over the age of 4, you know not to go on grandma's tombstone. I mean, or grandpa, whatever. And what you were saying, it was the ocean beautiful and all this nice color and vibrant. And then you have little dark gray church, or paraphrasing loosely, next to a cemetery on a windy hill probably on a cruddy day. I'm looking at this now at the imagery. Live at the bottom of the ocean, beautiful, great church on the hill that probably has no roof anymore.
Matthew Arnold was good with imagery. I think Dover Beach was really a poem that really personified nature in such a fantastic way. Yeah, and it was mentioned in Fahrenheit 451 as well.
I think like one of my favorite lines in the poem was when he was talking about the red throne or the red carpeted throne under the sea. I think it was. Hold on, let me find it. It was. Oh no! Oh no!
Red carpeted throne.
Yeah, it was like the red throne because he just kind of there was that and then.
At the beginning of the poem?
I think it was at the beginning when he was talking about, because he's talking about how the white horses play, and how she needs to come back. Oh no, where is it?
Oh, on a red gold throne in the heart of the sea, and the youngest sate on her knee.
Yes, when she's talking about how it just sounds like he was describing her as happy. She's sitting in this color with her children, and then she left to go to the little gray church. And now she's there, and he's hoping that I think by the end of the poem it sounds like he's hoping that he hopes
and that may just be affairs in general, where if somebody engages in an affair with somebody and that person the woman would be the one conducting the affair and she decides to leave.
Yeah, and he's not hoping the best for her. He says,
he wasn't the one that did the taking away from. In a way, he took her away from whatever it was, but she made the choice to
leave him behind and go back.
But initially, she's the one that made the choice to
do it to begin with.
Unite with him, to unite with him and produce a family, and then ultimately leave.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like the whole. What is this?
And at the church, she's looking to redeem herself, too.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I wanted to add to that. It was an accident. It was an accident. Give me the salad.
You asked for it.
This will ease my sufferings in purgatory. Yeah,
Can I
right.
just say, I
So
really
go to the
thought
Little
the
Grey
bells
Church,
were
Charlie. Eat
for
your salad.
this because they talk about how the bells were ringing. She hears the bells, and that's why she leaves. And like, so that's what I really thought it was
Symbolic.
for. Yeah,
I thought that was a crouton.
it's not.
No croutons for you.
No croutons, no
No
carbs.
croutons for you.
But yeah, no. So it looks like from 108 to 2123. You know, and this is where I really kind of felt that he was really sad. It come away, children. She will start from her slumber. When gusts shake the door, she will hear winds howling. She will hear the waves roar.
Like
And
my
basically, like describing all the sounds and all the things that are going to keep her from sleeping and being peaceful. When she could have lived with him under the ocean, not have to wake up to the roaring sounds of anything, and just been peaceful with him and his children. And then down at the bottom, there dwells a loved one, but cruel is she. She left lonely forever the king of the sea. Or the kings of the sea, I'm sorry. And I don't know, I just, like, it was sad. It was so sad.
The kings of the sea also could be false gods.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's why I saw a bit of, like, a kind of a religious
Yeah,
conduct in it, because mermaids, or mermen, whatever you want to call them, they tend to be associated more with, like, or the way I see it, like King of the Sea. I think of Poseidon, and if I'm correct, he's just in some aspects
Or King
described
Neptune,
as
you know.
yeah, King Neptune.
See,
he's
there's two
scripted
of them.
as
They're
a,
dueling
merman,
kings. Yeah,
right?
they're
So
dueling kings.
there's that aspect of it, and she's being called away by the Little Grey Church, being, you know, like in the Holy Book, like Christianity, and, you know, that divide of, you know, when, oh my goodness, forgive me, I'm gonna get everything wrong right now because we're on camera, but when, you know,
I'm eating salad.
when Christianity kind of took over, like, the Roman Empire, there was that divide where people had to choose between the gods they knew all their life and the Roman gods and everything like that, and then they had to choose between that and, you know, the church where
you put your faith.
where
You can't really see or touch. You have to believe.
You have to believe, and they had to choose between the two, because at that time, I believe it was Constantinople that was starting to, like, terrorize people if they weren't, you know, choosing
the Romans,
Christianity.
you know, they did that.
So I could, like I said, I could have my facts a little wrong there, but
Constantine.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Constantine in Constantinople. Thank you. See, I knew I was wrong somewhere.
Right. We're not surgeons. We're not surgeons.
But I mean, so I saw this in like two kind of separate. I mean, I immediately saw it as more of like an affair, really, like you said, or like being forced to leave someone they loved for their duties. Maybe not necessarily an affair, but even just leaving somebody to handle your duties. But then when I thought about it a little bit more, I got that kind of pagan versus Christianity aspect out of it too.
Yeah, that's where it makes the most sense to me. I feel like it's coming from those Left Behind, right? It seems like she goes to fulfill her duty, like in a return to, or going to, depending, the church, is symbolic of her turning her back on the sinful life, but at the same time, the people in that life are going to miss her.
But the duties can mean so many things. They're very vague with what they are.
Well, I mean, it's a church and a holy book.
Church, a holy
Easter.
book,
That's not
Easter,
very
Easter, and a priest. I mean, the details signify Christianity, but why it is that she is fulfilling those duties and not coming back.
Also, maybe
I think the peace and the stillness that he's looking at here,
He could be
as the best life, right, for himself.
He could be a false hope or a false path, but you have children involved too.
think of the children, and think of the children. What story was that from that we discussed? Edna, think of the... Was it? It was Edna. Think of the children. Kate Shaw. It was Kate Shelton.
It was our
The Awakening, Kate Shelton.
Yes, I knew that. I technically wouldn't have penalized him for that. But
See, he's the president. That's why I have a bill. So do I. Take
now you get the now you get another bite.
This is why I
I'm so
don't do
proud of
prop
you,
work.
Char. I'm so proud of you.
Take your bell back. We don't ring it. No? So you bring, yeah, it's like there's consequences to the things that she did when she was in the world, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of it. And it doesn't appear much to matter to her. But like I was saying, right, like the choice that she's making, right, besides her duty, is also all of that excitement and stuff that he doesn't want any part of.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he wants to stay in the peaceful depths of the sea where there's no waves, there's no nothing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like death, right? It's kind of like death.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Death is like salad.
Thought of it that way.
It's an I think there's a lot of perspectives. It would also be interesting to hear her point of view, too. I think that the idea of him secluding himself, he could, but when he have his children involved, that's the complication at hand. If it was just the two of them, you could see him in his seclusion and him closing himself out from everything that life has to offer and how his world revolves around her, which in a way it does. Mm-hmm. Perhaps the children could just be a reason for him to want her back.
Right, like it gives him justification for wrath in a way, right? Because it's not just him; it's this whole family of beings.
If I may, being that she has her duties. Wasn't there something mentioned about going to the nunnery or something like that, or becoming? I could have sworn I heard that was in here.
I know they talked about
it would be a reason that she would.
Because in that time, if women were found out to be playing with two drums instead of one, shall we say, they would be sent to the nunnery. Get ye to a nunnery. That's Shakespeare. Look at me.
She was the one that chose to go.
Well, yeah, but still. You know. But if you think about it, nuns have duties too. They have a lot of duties, and priests as well, monks, all of them. Even deacons, they have many duties as well. Mm-hmm. So, if his duty is to be king of the sea, and his, I mean, I don't know really how to justify what I'm trying to say here, but drawing images to that, he's the king of the sea, and as a priest would be, in a way, king, and the children could be the followers, the laity. They're following the priest or the whoever, the minister, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
Seeing it as an alternate,
yes,
more pagan-based religion.
Yes,
and I think that this poem really it leaves a lot open as well, because we're not really given. We're just being told that she left. We don't know how they got together. Yeah. We don't know how it started. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah, plenty of fish in the sea. We don't really know much. I mean, obviously, she was with him long enough to have children. Yeah. And then she just heard the bells and she left, and now he's looking for her. So we don't really. I get it now.
Why we have bells here?
See, that's what I thought. I really, honestly did, and then he.
And then he had the salad, which honestly you should maybe refrigerate that because.
Just put it outside for a little bit.
Whatever's left over, we'll feed it to the chickens.
Aww.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Salad. But so I mean, I feel it would be interesting if there was maybe another poem given her side. I think that would be really great if there was that, because maybe it wasn't just her duties that caused her to leave. What if it was something else? What if her duties were the only reason why she left? Okay, so then what duties were those that she'd leave behind a man who loves her and her children. So it's, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of questions, and just hearing his side, leaves us with no answers, just sadness.
Yeah,
So-
right.
I don't even know if it's just me or if there were more. How many children there were.
Yeah, he doesn't even
They
explain
don't say
that.
that
They
because
say
that
exactly
would,
how many.
that would be an indicating.
He keeps saying children, so there's definitely more than one.
Yeah, at least two.
But other than that, we don't know.
So that
Even if
that
we-
would be an indicator of how long she was down there too.
Yeah.
Assuming, let's say, well,
Depending, because
And
she
I
would
mean,
be
they're
down
obviously
there.
old enough to climb on graves. You can't picture any infants climbing on graves, so.
some
know.
things, well, that's why do we have child-proof locks and stuff like that? I mean, obviously today,
But it's like it's
lids,
so
that even
I
I can't
mean-
open.
even at infant age, she would have had to have been down there for at least 2 years.
At least 2, maybe even 3 years.
Exactly. So, and that's giving them like even the littlest bit.
Unless they had triplets.
Unless they had triplets.
That's a never mind.
In that case, yeah, it would have had to have been at least 2 or 3 years. Because
Yeah. So I mean,
put 9 months and then a month or so.
it
at
just
least.
makes me wonder, what those important duties were that made her leave. So,
Yeah, that-
regardless of religion aside, even just thinking about it instead of as a merman and a human,
Maybe she
just,
found someone else.
yeah, I mean, she could have found somebody else.
Right.
but
And had
you know,
duties.
I
Real
think
big
it's
duties.
related to the things that he does not appreciate, like the noises and all that. I think it's just the busyness of life.
Yeah.
But to me, I got a real deathly kind of imagery when I was reading about how he's describing like the bottom of the sea, away from all the noise, away from all that. Plus, when they're there, where do they feel? When they're on Earth, they like to go up on a night when it's completely still and there's nothing moving. And when they go to the church, where do they sit? They sit in the graveyard on the tombstone. There's so much death imagery surrounding.
Yeah,
The
see,
Merman.
it's
Great,
funny
ain't
because
it?
I got and I get that side, but I got the opposite when he was describing the bottom of the sea. It sounded like so colorful and full of life, and that when she left, she chose that gray church amongst the graves and on the windy hill, and it was just behind a white wall. See, to me that sounded more like death in a sort of way. As opposed to being under the sea, which was
That
happy.
white wall. White wall.
So maybe she died, and he
I was
was
gonna
looking
say-
for her. So I don't know.
I
I mean,
saw her.
that might be a bit of a reach, but
It would be.
just talking
I
about
haven't
it
even
with
been-
you now, that could be something.
I'm going to shut up after this, but even on the bigger reach, that white wall, is that maybe the veil to the other side? Tune in next week. No, we'll joke. No, really.
I
we'll
wouldn't
joke
say
inside.
that. I think
I
that
mean, it's a very
I definitely
possibility,
think
yeah.
it's
it would
supposed to
be a
represent-
great reach because then it would be a poem about mourning than it would be about.
Yeah.
Because I think that even with his great sense of yearning, I think that with her being alive, he feels that there's that sense of hope that she will consider coming back.
Yeah.
But death, I think he would more so. It would be a completely different poem.
And I mean, but even if you think about it too, at the end when he has the children, he calls out to her, and then he has the children call out to her, and she doesn't respond,
That's
and so
sad.
they just turn away and they go back to the sea as if they did give up hope. So I mean, I guess it would kind of make sense, if she died,
I'm sad now.
it doesn't matter how much we call her, she's not coming back. So I'm just gonna have to go be alone. So you know what? It's not really that far of a reach, Charlie. I think.
Oh, I know, but now I'm sad.
It was such a sad poem. I think.
Screw it, it's worth it! It's worth it! I need comic relief!
Cheer 'em up. Here you go. Here's some cherry tomatoes.
Honestly,
That'll
I
make it
had to do that for some comic relief.
You did a good thing, Charlie.
Thank you.
Brought a smile to everyone's face.
I had to.
He is eating the salad to bring a smile to your face, guys.
Well, I was almost ready to cry because
Don't cry.
because
How brave.
I wouldn't
What a brave
I
man.
wouldn't look, I wouldn't want to be one of those shows like mommy. Forget it, you're not coming back. I'm converting.
Make that 2 bites.
Converting.
Leave me alone.
Where are reading a lot of sad stuff. I mean, Shutter Island made me cry.
It's
This made me feel so
January when
like
we're recording
melancholy.
this.
We need please tell me there's something happy coming up on our list.
I don't know about that.
Damn it.
No.
Keep it away.
The Dead is a pretty sad piece that's coming up in a few weeks.
Oh.
The Dead.
I mean, the title kind of gives it away.
I thought it was called The Alive. It was a joke.
Zombies? Is it zombies?
Alrighty then. Do we have any final thoughts?
I hate salad.
I mean, overall, despite how sad I found the poem, I
That was,
did
what, 5
enjoy
now?
it. I thought it was well written.
Very lyrical.
Yeah, and the imagery, like we were talking about before, I thought it was a pretty poem. As strange as that sounds.
You're not going to get it on the first read,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would.
Oh, yeah, I definitely.
know.
I'm
See, I
glad
was
I read
only-
it like
First,
2 or
I
3
thought it
times.
was somebody telling a story of a legend, but
That's what
and
I
I thought
thought.
it was more so about a legend of a mermaid. But they turned the tables. So instead of the human telling a story about a mythical being, it's a mythical being telling the story about a human.
I got something stuck in my
It's
teeth.
interesting. I definitely need to read it a couple more times.
Anybody else have something to say?
I strongly dislike salad. Hate is a strong word, so I strongly
Okay.
dislike salad. But it was
That's not really related to the
It's not
What the-
discussion related.
Wait,
no,
wait.
goodness.
I almost said it the F word.
There
Thank
you go.
you.
We'll close out with a bang.
We can say furnace, yeah. I
You meant
almost
to say
said
furnace.
furnace.
You can do it. I believe in you, Charlie.
Do I need to do the airplane with you?
No.
No.
Ooh, no, you know what you could do?
No.
You-
Take that bite.
She knows. You all know me by
You
now.
can have a cookie after.
Yay!
Make that 2 bites. Personal space.
Turned into a weird ASMR-esque video. Eating salad with Charlie.
Alrighty, while Charlie takes another bite of salad, I got this poem from the Portable Matthew Arnold, which was also, I also bought this from the book.
What's wrong with me?
And this has everything from Dover Beach to the Forsaken Merman. It also has his criticism, politics, letters. He's written... Yeah, that's because I think that falls under his essays.
This is just a collection of poems from all different types of poets. It's got some Arnold, Browning, Tennyson, Lowell Hunt, Moore, Doyle, bunch of poets. So I stumbled upon it while I was looking through it, and
I liked it.
Okay, you can come back and give him... You can take a sample back.
Good job, Charlie.
good job.
We're going to give you a cookie now.
Thank
there
you
you go.
so much.
Alright, nobody's going to eat those.
Alrighty
now.
then. Be sure to
You
join us
sure?
next time for another episode of Tori Gladiators. For now, keep reading.